This is How to Draw. I'm Levi Smith. Today, we're drawing a cat and a pumpkin. Start with a large oval, making it flatter on the top and the bottom. This is generally going to be the pumpkin. Add a smaller oval to the top inside of that first oval. This will be the opening. Draw the top portion of a circle, fitting it inside that smaller oval. That's the body of the cat. Remember to draw these parts as light as you can, or be prepared to erase them later. It's totally okay to use a pencil. And then add a larger circle that overlaps the half circle just a bit. This is the head of the cat. Next, draw a vertical line down the middle of this top circle, and then add another line across left to right. These are our guidelines for the face. Using these guidelines, draw a triangle shape on either side of the top of the circle. Keep these shapes kind of rounded, as they are the ears. After the ears, we'll add these small circles. These will end up being the paws. Let's add some contour lines to the pumpkin, but keep these lines really light. We have a lot more to draw in this area. You don't need to worry about symmetry or perfection here. The difference from your drawing and mine are what makes them unique and interesting. These little dashes on the sides tell us where the ground is. Just like the cat's head, we need to add our face guide to the pumpkin. Next, we'll draw some triangles for the eyes of the pumpkin. Notice I'm drawing the bottom of the triangle right on that guideline. To draw the mouth of the pumpkin, start with this top curved line parallel to the guideline. Add the bottom line of the mouth, making a crescent moon laying on its back. Some small triangles for the teeth with this easy pattern. And then add a small nose triangle as well. Moving back to the cat's face, we're going to start with the nose by adding a small upside down triangle with some softer corners. Then we'll add the eye shapes. Start just under the guideline. Draw some large ovals, and don't worry about making them too big or too small. I do like bigger eyes here though. They make the cat look cute and friendly. And then we're going to add the small mouth shape. Let's put in some pupils for the eyes. You can make them more like regular cat eyes, but I think these work here. Make them look in whatever direction you like. Add some highlights to the eyes. We're going to add these lines to the inner ears. Give it a bit of a lightning squiggle to the areas that the hair would tuft out. Then, to add the tail, start from the pumpkin and draw it out like a snake. On the second line, again start from the pumpkin and then run it parallel to that first line. You can make the tail as long or as curvy as you like. We're off to a good start with our layout, so let's add some detail. I'm going to start with adding some simple lightning squiggles, as I also reinforce these lines as I go. These little tufts at the cheeks here add a lot of character, but notice how I'm drawing them from the guideline. Another little lightning squiggle on the top of the head for a small tuft of hair, and all the same for this other side. This is the point in the drawing where you start to darken the lines that you know you want to keep. Add some more tufts. You can add more or less of these little bits of hair to suggest how fuzzy or furry your cat is. I'm going to reinforce the shoulder lines before we add some fingers to these paws. The first finger is tricky. Make sure it starts from the inside of the pumpkin and overlap it back over the edge, kind of like a spiral. After that, the other two are really easy to add. And then same for the other side. Add an edge to the front part of the pumpkin. Add some fur detail as we reinforce the tail lines. As I make the lines for the pumpkin stronger, I want to think about the shape of the pumpkin and consider that with these lines that I'm making. Add this underline and darken the opening lines of the pumpkin that aren't covered by the cat's body. As I reinforce the lines for the pumpkin's eyes, I'm also adding in this cut angle of the pumpkin by adding these lines along the bottom and inside of the eye triangles. Do the same here with the nose. Next, we'll add some darker lines to the mouth and teeth. And some lines for the pumpkin thickness inside the mouth. Only do this for the bottom teeth though. A quick reinforcement of the pumpkin contour lines, and then moving back to the face, we'll just reinforce the mouth, nose, and eyes. Notice the small line at the top of the eyeball. That little line gives us a bit of an eyebrow and more expression. This is also a good time to add more hair detail. I'll add a bit to the inner ears and chest. Okay, let's shade this one in nice and easy. I'm starting with the eyes of the cat. We'll work down the drawing, focusing on the darkest areas first. Shading under the chin will make the face and head stand out better. Most of the reason for this shading is to separate elements with contrast, making the drawing easier to understand. Next, shading the eyes of the pumpkin. That cut edge we added now makes the eyes look a little more 3D. Shade the mouth. So it looks like I didn't add enough of a cut edge along that top opening of the pumpkin, so I add a little bit here. Notice I've got the video sped up for this part because it can take some time to shade these areas. Be patient with yourself and don't rush this part of the process. Now it's time to outline the entire drawing with a heavier line, making sure that everything is connected. You can also make this line a lot thicker for a more dramatic effect. Overlapping lines, such as the hand, should also get a heavier outline. A little bit of cross-hatching in the pumpkin's eyes will add extra depth. Notice how I don't cross-hatch the whole space, and then move this hatching into those cut edges of the eyes. A bit of extra details and some cross-hatching really tie this one together. We're going to add some quick shading to darken the cat in general. This actually could be done with like a marker or some other tool, smudging or something like that. You don't have to hatch it in as I'm doing it here. As I shade in the rest of this cat in a pumpkin, I want to thank you for stopping by and watching to the end. Notice how I do some of this shading on the pumpkin to give it more depth and connect it to the ground with some simple shadows. And just to point out, this is a design that's a top result off of Google. You can go search for it yourself. I've also got another version I did here that shows how much variation can be worked into a design like this without necessarily changing the design so much. Thanks for watching. Check out the Patreon and merch. Links are in the description. Give us a like and subscribe, and we'll catch you later with another one.